Hey, good evening, everybody. This is Carl, and today or tonight, or I guess you could say early this morning, it's almost midnight. I wanted to talk about what a Marine's most valuable asset is. I know I wrote an article about this on I can't remember which site it was or where I posted it, but I recognize that I haven't done an actual audio of it. And so I'm going to do the best I can. I feel somewhat knowledgeable about talking about this. Obviously, I am a Marine myself with the United States Marine Corps, and I've had a deployment under my belt to be able to kind of emphasize what I think is valuable. And so a couple things come to mind. One of them being resourcefulness. I consider myself very, very, very resourcefulness. It's up there with one of my top traits. And in the Marines, there's a lot of work with what you have. If like the funny the joke always is if the Marine Corps wanted you to have this, they would have issued it to you, like that whole thing. And so that you definitely learn how to be very resourceful. And I want to say that translated over pretty well in my civilian life after I got out, especially now that I'm homeless. I have to be very resourceful in the sense that, like, as an example, I just went to Chevron to fill up my gas tank, but I only had $14 or $11, and so that's all I could put in there because my money. That's not all the money that I had, but that's all the money that I was able to put towards that, like with my budget for gasoline. So I'm learning to be resourceful in the sense that sometimes, you can't use all the money. You have to put a little here or a little bit there, and it hopes to accomplish the mission. Another thing too that I found that I'm really good at, that I think a lot of Marines are likely have the same trait, is awareness. Uh, Especially in the Marines, they teach you to be just aware at all times. I mean, from the moment that what comes to mind is at the chow hall, you're not allowed to look up at the drill instructors while you're eating, to staring at your food and only your food or your plate. And so you kind of learn to, like, know when to look and when not to look at something, or at the corner of your eye, or the peripheral of your eyes. So, like, it kind of messes with my head a little bit, but it's also served me very well. Now that I have PTSD from combat, it's like it kind of sucks because now I'm like super hyper vigilant, because I don't like, it's at first it's like you don't have much to look at, or to be threatened of, because you're coming from like war to like a civilian life, I guess, and so you don't really have much to worry about. And then all of a sudden it just like creeps up, and then you start being like even more hyper aware, or at least somewhat close to it. So I would say that is an asset, but it's also kind of a curse. It definitely sucks at times. Um, and I guess, like, if I had to think about another asset of the Marines, it's probably like something along the lines of organization. I know that when I was in boot camp, uh, this was a while ago, but I think it was like 2009. When I was in boot camp, one of the things they teach you is to have like an organized chaos about yourself, and that's a little story that I have, where they, in the, I think they call it the bay, or the, what is it, where you sleep, like, all the bunk beds and stuff. I forgot what it's called. Um, but you have, like, in the very beginning of boot camps, somewhere towards the beginning, you have this, you get your sea bag, and then everybody dumps their sea bag of their belongings all inside of the squad bay, I think is what they call it. And then they they have you move it all around and shuffle it all around. And if you didn't have your names marked, like if you didn't have your name on your belongings, it would get lost in the sauce. And you were that guy. Like, you were that guy. You would realize pretty quickly that that you didn't want to do that, because you just, I mean, your assets there, or no pun intended, but your belongings, have value to you in those types of situations. So they're teaching you, and this is just what I took from it. There's probably another meaning, but when things are very unorganized, there's a lot of chaos. It's important to be the one that is organized. So maybe you're another Marine and you took something different from that. I know for me, that's kind of what I've been able to piece together. All right, I will say this, and I think it's the obvious one, is a Marine's most important asset is their rifle. Their weapon. They call it the weapon of mass destruction. And then and I'm just gonna say this, but as you transition into civilian, from military to civilian, you typically don't bring your weapon with you anymore. Some of us go and buy our own, and try to carry on that legacy or whatever, but that is typically your most important asset. They teach you how to clean that, take it apart, clean it. And I don't know if we did it blindfolded. I can't remember. Maybe we did, but it was important nevertheless to know it inside and out. And so that I guess is a tool. I look at it like a tool. I mean, you can call it a weapon, but like a tool to be able to get your job done. And and now that I'm a civilian, I'm very resourceful with the different things. Like, so my vehicle, for example, I recognize how important that is, and to keep it maintained, from the brake pads to the oil to the transmission fluid to windshield wiper fluid, just overall making sure that I'm maintaining the vehicle and knowing it inside and out. So I think that's something that I've been able to carry over with me, and it's served me pretty well. I think another really good one to point out too is communication. One of the things I notice with Marines is we speak up when we're spoken to. Or, as I found out, when they're not speaking, I tell them to speak up. Or I just start talking louder. It's very challenging talking to people who just like have no purpose in life. And that's one of the things I'm really grateful for in the Marines is they were pretty much on us in the sense that like you needed to speak up. And if you didn't, I mean, you got hammered, man. And you notice that, especially when you get out of the service, is like, oh my, I mean, even while I was in the service, I was noticing people that, weren't Marines were just like super quiet. It's like, oh my gosh. And I guess that's a blessing. But even now, that is like the number one, that is up there as far as what I've noticed, especially, when I went to college, is like I was always speaking up in class. I was never falling asleep. I was always just like really sharp and on my game. And to be able to assert myself is one of the greatest things that I learned from the drill instructors. And to be just, to overall be loud, uh, loudest person in the room, if you will, or just to not be afraid. Again, everybody has their own experience. You have your good apples and your bad apples, as I say in the Marines. But the ones who really understand what I'm saying, they'll know that it was something of a choice, that you could be loud. Maybe like the louder the better or something like that. But uh, overall, that's something I really appreciate that I learned, was to just speak up, or at least loud enough for someone to hear you. I don't know why they taught us that. I'm sure someone could leave that in the comments as to why that was the case. But that to me has really served. As you can see, like I'm even, doing my own podcast, I'm kind of able to just be a little bit more confident and use my words. This next one probably, I think, may have more bad than it does good, but it's also very useful. And it's that I've learned to stay alert, even at night. And I know this kind of it can get dark or whatnot, but it's this idea of situational awareness again, which they drill into us at a pretty early point in the service. Is that so? Like, just as an example, okay, so we did a lot of guard duty where we would constantly switch shifts, right? And if you fell asleep on your shift, I mean, it was a big deal, especially when we were digging foxholes, or just overall waiting for the enemy to appear. Like if we fell asleep, it was kind of a big deal. So yeah, if your buddy, the person you're sharing the foxhole with, did that, I mean, what's nice about the Marines is they're pretty spot on. We know how to check each other and make sure that we're awake and stuff. It's not like the movies. I don't know. I saw a movie the other day. I can't remember what it was, like the foxhole thing, where the guy like fell asleep. But typically, I mean, maybe some of the grunts out there can chime in if anybody fell asleep in the foxhole. But typically, I would say Marines are, you can count on them a lot more to not do that. And so, how that applies as a civilian is for me, I'm always checking my blinds like twice an hour, sometimes four times an hour. It sucks. Like, it really does. I'm constantly looking around. But there is a benefit to it. It's that no, you ain't coming into this house without me seeing you first. I pretty much always have one eye open. It sucks, you guys. Like, I freaking wish. But it is an asset because if times get really tough and you try to punk me, and I know, and I have a suspicion that you might be coming over trying to punk me, dude, I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna be waiting for you. And it sucks that I have to say that, but that's what they made me. You know, just I'm just ready, man. I'm ready for it. Typically, I mean, anybody's human. Like, you can catch somebody off guard, so I don't want to like toot my horn, but I'm just saying that's a really big asset. It's just to be aware, especially when the pressure's on, or if I have a suspicion. Like, yeah. I too want to say this, that another asset is our brotherhood or sisterhood, whatever you want to call it. We're pretty tight. Like, even when I'm out of the Marines now, you know, once a Marine, always Marine. We're a pretty tight brotherhood, like, for the most part. Again, you always have your bad apples and stuff like that, but uh, I mean, I've always been able to have strike up conversations pretty easy. I mean, they just get it. I mean, we've been through it, man. So like, you know, there's different levels. You know, some of us have been in different aspects of it, but for the most part, we have each other, and that means a lot to me. I think since I'm homeless right now, you know, I think resilience is a huge one. We just don't quit, man. Uh, we're constantly from the beginning trained to just don't give up when you're tired. Um, as if I didn't learn enough of that in wrestling growing up, you know, wrestling, collegiate wrestling or whatever. In the Marines, they really instilled into us, you know, don't give up, especially when you're tired. It's just like a different kind of endurance, but it's like carrying canteens of water type of, you know, lots of ammo type of endurance over long hikes and stuff. So being able to persevere is another really big one. So yeah, everybody, that's kind of like my take. There's obviously so many more traits to Marines. You know, overall, I think we're pretty decent people. I think we genuinely try to care about our public. You know, we're here. We're the, you know, when the wolf comes, you know, you got your sheep and then you got your sheepdogs, if I'm saying that right. Marines, we're pretty much there. So it's like you can sleep easy at night knowing that we're awake, unfortunately, you know, doing guard. So guys, that's the end of it. I wanna end this by saying I'm in a serious situation right now where I am currently homeless and I'm asking for donations. I have links in the show notes and the descriptions. If you just follow those, there's plenty of ways to help, whether it's through purchasing products or clothing that I've put designs on, or my music, or just simple outright donations, which I always appreciate. That way I can get the money quick and put gas in my car, and pay for some of these outrageous bills. It's getting expensive. But yeah, I'm currently homeless. I'm working close with the VA right now to get disability. But even then, you guys, this money that comes to me, it helps pursue my music career. It helps me get my own place. Hopefully, I can buy my own house. And I'm suffering from PTSD really bad. It's hard for me to be around people, so that's why I'm helping you guys out, showing you the way the best I can. Any support is truly appreciated. I've gotten donations from as little as $20. All the way up to $200. I'm hoping that there's someone out there who can just give me a nice $500 to $1,000 one. I know you're all in different places in your life. I know I was up there, I was down there, I was over here, I was over there. But anything helps, you guys. I'll plan to continue to make these audio podcasts and just share with you some knowledge. Hopefully, it can help you and your family. Thank you so much. God bless and stay safe out there. Carl out.